Just bear with me. Good morning, Europe. The markets are about to open in approximately 20 odd seconds. Sorry, 40 seconds. Looks like I haven't gotten the latest update. I could be tempted to buy the FTSE right here. Oh, okay, that was the quickest. Yeah, that's not going to happen, is it? Sorry about that. I just bought below the low end of the range. Right. Well, that sucks. Sorry about that. Well, you saw it live. I'm going to take my profit. Really sorry. All I did was I was saying I would like to be buy the FTSE below the overnight range, and then the FTSE just in those seconds before the open at 7:59, I bought it. Okay. I'm doing this so you can follow me. This so yesterday I bought the DAX right there. My entry was at, see if I can, so I bought it at 23,586. This is 23,586 right here. So I bought it right here. And I promised you that I would explain to you why I did that. The answer lies in the work I've done on the 30-minute chart. So let's see if I can find it. Okay, so when the first 30-minute bar had a candle body like this, my research suggests to me that it should mean that the market would move higher on the balance of probabilities. However, if it goes below the low, then it should hold above this low here, which is the 23,564. what made me take the decision was actually found. I think it was on the was it the previous day or the day before? Let me just find what it was. I think it was this one here. I'm just trying to find, because I reverse engineered it to thinking, okay, this is the area I want to be a buyer. I'm just trying to find. I imagine that I was showing it on the YouTube video, although I didn't explain it to you. The essence of it was yeah, it's coming back to me now. I looked very quickly as it was happening. I was looking at how much does the DAX, so as this trade was unfolding, as the price action was unfolding, I'm looking probably on another screen so you don't see it in YouTube. I'm looking at, well, how much does the DAX has a tendency to break below the first 30-minute positive bar. That low had a low of 23,600. And I think I calculated that it has a tendency to go below by about 40 points. So I thought, okay, 23,600 minus 40 is 23,560. So that's probably the area that I wanted to be a buyer. But then I looked at this low here that had a low of 23,564, and I thought, I don't think it's going to go below this candle here. Then I found an example that had a higher low, like this pattern here, the 30 minutes before the market and the second 30 minutes into the market. And I found that there was about that the market stopped about 10 points above the previous bar's low. Not this previous bar's low, but this bar here. So I thought, okay, if this has a low of 64, I probably want to be a buyer at 74. Now, I really must get into the habit of using orders. But what gave me the absolute confidence to squeeze the living daylight out of that trade was at how the low was formed. Because the low was formed, this is the candle that pushes lower and pushes lower, and this was my reference point. This is what we saw on the 30-minute chart. But when it then goes below prior bar low in that area where I was thinking that's going to be it, around 575. Now, if I was a really good trader, I would have gotten a fill right there below that low. But unfortunately, I'm not that good. But when we went below prior bar low and then began to trade higher, you have to remember, yesterday, the DAX was pushing. We had a bull bar, bear bar, and bull bar. And so my inclination was thinking we were gap up yesterday. I don't know if you recall that, but we were gap up. I can show you this here. So do you remember this? This is why I showed you that we were gap up, and then I went through gap not filled, gap filled, gap not filled, gap not filled. So there were far more occurrences that the gap not getting filled. So I felt that this market would have a rally. I think at the time I said this kind of pattern suggests that we will get at least 3 or 4 30-minute pushes higher, which would take us up into 11 o'clock As it happened, the high actually came at 11:30, but let's not split hairs over a bar or two when it's a 30-minute. So the idea that I was looking for is I want to be a buyer because I think the DAX was bullish. And then when and so working on the knowledge that I had about the first and the second 30-minute chart, when we went below prior bar low and buyers stepped in, I felt, yeah, this is the moment they've been waiting for. We've seen somewhat of a retracement, shaking the tree a bit, but it was just really frustrating for me, and it's happened more than I care to admit. This is going to sound like a violin song, but I've certainly had some issues, some bodily issues, my shoulder, my hip, and I'm doing everything in my power to amend it. Physical rehabilitation, injections, things I don't normally want to do, such as steroid injection, to try and make sure that I can stay active and stay strong, because I do not want to not work out. So oftentimes I have these tests that coincide with that the only time you can get an appointment is like an hour or two into the trading session. And you obviously don't have to believe me, but I will state it. I had absolutely no intention of getting out of this. Why? Well, because I was looking over at the S&P 500. And in my experience, you have to remember this is the day before yesterday. In my experience, you don't get this close to an all-time high without pushing through it. And yesterday, I felt with the S&P 500, with being so close, would push into new all-time highs. And I felt that that would positively benefit the DAX. So it was a multitude of considerations, which, let's be honest with one another, some of it can be explained pragmatically from a chart-centric point of view, and some of it is just the experience of, the accumulated experience and tidbits you pick up here, there, and everywhere. But even if you miss that, but you see a market that goes below prior bar low, and then this is essentially an outside range bar, and it's a very strong, an incredibly strong bull close. The odds of follow through after this kind of pattern, they're strong. Of course, I have a trade to prove that I feel very strongly about it, because as you can see, I was in quite aggressively to six lots. I am frequently asked, I think the most frequent asked question that I get is, how do you decide to add to your position? And the answer is always, well, I look at momentum, I get a sense of momentum. Is it strong? Is the pattern that I've seen supporting a strong reversal? Are people being caught out and are now desperate to get in or reverse their positions? And I operate with this sort of rule of thumb that if I feel very strongly about it, I'll buy at 86. I'll buy at 96, I'll buy at 606, buy at 616. So every 10 points. And less experienced traders will say, even more experienced traders will say, well, isn't that dangerous? Yes. No but. Yes, it is. Why not just do a full load at 86 to begin with? I did. And physically couldn't buy anymore. Not at that price level. The broker sets a limit of £250, 2,500 Danish kroners. So not possible. I could have bought again and clip in 87, but I believe in when you add to winning trades, and it's worked really well for me. I had this dream of building this account from 10,000 up to 100,000, which, if you know your percentages, is not 1,000%. It is 900%. I had this dream of being able to do that live. As it turns out, I couldn't, because many of the opportunities happened outside of streaming hours. And that puts the experiment somewhat of the returns are still valid. Every trade is documented, but it's just a shame that, so this would be 39,000 plus the nearly 50,000 that's withdrawn. So I think I am shy of this goal by turning 10,000 into 100,000. I have 11,000 pounds yet to go, and I was hoping that that would happen before my holiday in the end of July, and it probably would have. But then, in a fit of I can't do this anymore, and you are of course entitled to feel however way you want that, but I feel that I spent all my time answering messages, as opposed to the things that I really wanted to do, which is to educate. And people are quick to enforce their own beliefs onto you. Oh, why don't you just ignore them? Or why don't you just fill in the blanks? But you have to remember that this is also what makes me me. I don't want to ignore someone's message. So if their message arrives, then at least I gotta deal with it. And I've learned a lot from people's messages. But now, unfortunately, it has to stop. Do I think I'm gonna come back in September? Depends on the time of the day you ask me. Depends on oftentimes it depends on, when I looked at the YouTube this morning, I'm thinking, my last video, the DAX trade that I just explained here, it just had 6,000 views. Now you can look at it from that's 6,000 people that will actually have a fighting chance of learning something valuable. And then you 1 second. And then and you're looking at some of the videos out there with, I don't know, people where I'm thinking, how is this supposed to be educational? And they will have 50,000 views. And the irony, of course, is that I don't generate YouTube revenues from this either. Mostly because I haven't figured out how to do it. Also because I find adverts annoying on YouTube. But I think I want to step away and review how I do this so that it remains fun for me to do, as opposed to, see, it's not the trading that I have a problem with. I love the trading. It's that barrage that comes as a result of it that I haven't quite learned how to deal with. Be it people writing untrue articles about me, and I am sort of torn between, do I sue them for libel? Can I be bothered? There was a clown somewhere in the world who made videos about me, and oh my god, he would be in prison today if I had pushed through. But I just thought, he's so young and so naive. But the laws in his country, they state that if you do that, you can go to prison. As though I will ruin that young man's life. I don't really want to do that. Absolutely everything he said was unsubstantiated. He didn't have a shred of proof for any of the allegations he made, just based on hearsay and whatnot. I'm chatting because I'm waiting for... I'm not chatting because I don't want to trade. I sure do. I'm chatty because we are on an inside. You can see that. You look at the 10-minute chart. 2 is largely within 1. 3 is within 1, definitely. All of this is taking place outside the range. But I'm thinking, let's wait for number 2 on the 15 to conclude, which will happen momentarily. I already had one trade, and I'm ashamed to say that there's not a fighting chance that any of you were able to get on board that, even though you saw it live. I bought right there. Right there. And then the market exploded higher. And I covered up near the high end of the range. Most likely the quickest 17, 18 points in a while. Excuse me, just gonna drink some water. perhaps you will just let me explain something to you. Okay, so someone called Marco has just sent me this message. Now I know this is a really, really innocent question. Hi, where can I find the new software? Now, when I look back in the history of messages that I have sent to Marco, which was earlier this year on the 9th of March. So let me just make sure that I prove my point. So on the welcome messages that people receive, which I was sent to him on the 9th of March, it says, how to get my trade from chart signal software for free. Da-di-da-di-da, and then there's a link. Yeah. Also, if you look at this, how the search function works in Telegram, you'll see that if you just type in the search function trade from chart, you will see how many times that I have posted the link to the channel. And so, as innocent as Marco's question is, imagine that this was replicated by 200 every single day, and 200 times a day I have to explain to someone saying, you know what, I have posted this repeatedly, but even when you received the welcome messages, to my channel, if you had read through these, you would be able to find the answer to your question. But it's so much easier just to, you know, I'm just going to ask him. And that's what I need to get away from. Now, I'm not angry as much as I am wondering how much time have I wasted on people who use me as a Google search engine to find information that I have already sent to them. Now, you can laugh and, you know, obviously I'm trying to make fun of this. That's fine. But you do have to understand that even a question like that will take me anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute to deal with. And so imagine you had 200 of them a day. 200 minutes may not sound like much, but it's actually 3.5 hours. 3 hours and 20 minutes to be exact. Interesting, isn't it? When you begin to break it down like that. For something that people could perfectly find themselves. Now, I have tried over the years to get you to extract this information for yourself, but it hasn't worked. And as a result of it, I am now at that point where I go, yeah, I can't be bothered to do this anymore. Please stand by for a long position in the DAX. Definitely want to be a buyer near 6 low. The school run long has triggered, but I was just being patient. And it's not just me that receives this. So the developer who runs the support channel, he receives a question like this. Gilbert, in the actual support channel where everything, Gilbert says, where can I get the latest update for the software? And you're thinking, I'm sorry, but literally inside the software group, it says, there's the latest update. So a modicum of just please help me help you would go a long way, but that's not the case. Stand by in the DAX. I'm buying the DAX here. Bought the DAX at 23,826. I'm not expecting you to understand this or appreciate. I'm just stating my facts. There you go. This is a fairly typical message that I get. Tom, before you leave us, I have a question regarding market conditions. Do you have any type of blueprint of tackling different market conditions, what those are and how to go about trading them? And of course, me being me is thinking, every day I do this. 153, 152, 151, 150, 149, 148, 147, 146 videos. So right now we are on video 153. Do I have any resources? Yeah. What worked 2 months ago rarely even sets up properly. I don't know. I trade the school run most days. I've grown this account, and by the time we're done, it will probably be vastly surpassing 1,000%. Granted, not all of it is done live. I don't know how to adapt. I have no guidance. You're thinking, well, what more can I do? How many more videos do I need to produce? A point to the right direction would be welcome, Tom. Now, he's not being impolite, not by any stretch. But in order to be a success in anything is, you answer the first question, what do you want? And how badly do you want it, and what sacrifices are you prepared to make to get what you want? And I think that's where most people fall short. And then someone sent me a message saying, farewell, have a nice life, thank you for everything, take care of yourself. Dramatic. So anyway, it's not like I want to hang anybody out to dry, but you can see how ridiculous this is now. Here's another one while I'm in this trade. Someone is sending me this message here. Hi Tom, I still cannot drag the take profit and the stop loss. So I'm thinking, why are you telling me this? We literally have a dedicated support line. A dedicated support line for the software. So there you go. So far it looks like a trading range environment. I think it was at odds whether that school run was going to just bulldoze higher or it was going to trade back into the trading range. But the fact that two didn't really manage to take out one's high and one's low made me decide just to wait. I think we have good chance that we're going to go back up and test the highs. Hoping so. I think I'll move my stop loss up. If I change the time frame, I would move my stop loss up to below. Actually, stop loss to break even. Got 14 points in profit now. Stop loss is now at break even. Come on, DAX. New highs. If I had had a different kind of entry, I would have put my stop loss below 9. But as it happens, I think I'm content just putting the stop loss at break even. And the worst that can happen is we get a big fat nothing out of it. And that looks like that's what we're going to get. When would I add? Somewhere between 40 and 50. Look at that. We were saved for now. Have you seen this function here? So smart how it highlights the take profit feature. I like it. I'm working on the statistical what's the word I'm looking for? Ballast to substantiate, all right, we just had a trading below prior buy low. Alerts. Actually, certainly not having trading up into the 40s, huh? Yay! We're having fun on the Autobahn, huh? And this is where I clock out and say thank you very much for today. By all means run it, but I am done. Hope you enjoyed this exquisite display of trading ability. I will post the I'll post the status now. Yeah, I was just trying to show how small trades can really add up in the DAX. Sorry, in the US when it's a trend day. So here's the tally for today. So it's Friday the 27th. I'll have the US session yet to do today. And then on Monday will be my last day. I want to finish off with something, and you can think about this. I get so many people saying thank you very much for what I've done, and that's kind. Now, I want to show you something. This is what the Telegram channel looks like. Yeah? See, I got 46,000 members, and if you sort of scroll back to some of the past posts, you'll see how many people have viewed the post. So even though not all 46,000 will obviously view the post, but there's about, call it 7,000 viewers. Now, what could really help me is to get a moderator, but a moderator doesn't work for free. So once a month, I put in a donation button saying, hey, would you like to pay for the donation? It's entirely voluntary, but the money goes to the software development, it goes to the auditor, and it could also go to a paying for a moderator. Do you know how much money I receive when I put out the donation button? At the last round, I got $1,800. That pays for about a week's worth of my developer for the software. But that's fine because the develop is from, I love using the software. But if you work the math, that means that those $1,800 that I received, they're paid by, at the last count, 57 people have donated. So out of the 7,000 people that view my posts, 57 of them decide to donate. Now, 57 divided by 7,000, it means that approximately 0.8% of you are actually contributing. So do you now understand why I have to do something? Because all I do is doing things I don't want to do. I don't want to be a Google search engine answering machine or point out that I have already posted the answer to this. It's not to make you feel bad. I'm just pointing out an inherent flaw in all the people that say thank you very much for all the wonderful things that I've done, blah, 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 blah. But when I ask for help, because I don't run affiliates, I don't run adverts. So that's the consequence of it. Am I bitter? No, not at all. I'm sure you'll be able to trade profitably without me. So anyway, that's it. I'll see you for the US session. Bye.